All right, guys, so it's always a good idea to have a lot of B-roll. So welcome to the page. Omar here with 68 Charger Garage. On this episode, episode 3, we're gonna start messing with the Hemi engine. I'm gonna be putting the Hemi on the engine stand. That way I can turn it around and start messing with the oil pan. And then we're also gonna start messing with this TKX transmission. So we're gonna start getting it all set up and hopefully we can put it together by the end of this episode. And stick around because my buddy Jesse's gonna come down with his 70 Charger. He does have a TKX install on his car, so I'm gonna be able to check it out and hopefully I get a test drive out of it. Let us know if you have any questions, and as always, don't forget that subscribe button. Thanks for watching, guys. So one of the first things that we need to do is put the bolts onto the block. That way we can get the stand going. It's always been really weird to me that such a small bolt can hold this entire block, so I'm always really skeptical and scared that a bolt or the block is gonna break off. But I guess everything works for a reason. So this is installed. I'm ready to put the engine stand on it. So what I'm gonna do is I have to unhook the crane from the Magnum and 727 and then roll it over and put it right over here. And then we can start doing this. All right, guys, so backup has arrived. All right, guys, so this was a rookie mistake. Apparently I thought there was no oil in the engine, so apparently there is. So it's all on the floor now. And a big shout out to Jesse for coming out and helping me. Let me show you guys his car over here. So yeah, he's got a 1970 Charger and he actually has the same transmission as I do. TKX 5-speed that we're gonna put in mine. And it's a 383, right? Yeah. So we got a 383 big block over here. All right, yeah, so tell me a little bit about your car, man.
Yeah, so I bought it, I think May of 2020, actually, right during the pandemic. You know, so whenever I got the car, it was nothing, no gas tank, no gas lines, no nothing at all. It was a bare car. Still had the factory drum brakes up front, so had to redo all that, redid everything. This 383 is out of a 68 Roadrunner, and it came with a, the 727 automatic transmission. I ended up blowing up that transmission. I smoked it. So my dream was always, a classic muscle car with a stick shift transmission. Like that's the epitome of like muscle cars. So I didn't want a 4-speed because it still has a 1-to-1 fourth gear, so it'd still be crazy to drive on the highway. So I ended up pulling everything out. I ordered the TKX transmission, I think in February of 2021, and it didn't come in until October of 2021, so I waited months for it. I think I was the 7th or the 12th kit that they sold for a 68 to 70 B body Mopar. So pretty early on in that, and then whenever I had the engine out, of course, I put new heads on it, new cam, new lifters, new push rods, new everything. And then now I just drive it. I think I put 5,000 or 6,000 miles on the TKX transmission and hadn't had a single problem so far. So it's just a driver. I'm gonna leave it kind of ratty and just fix up the interior and make it nice as I can.
Nice.
So it's just bare bones, just bare essentials. Pretty much.
Everything you need, right?
Yeah.
And I think we're done draining over here, so I'm going to start removing the pan process. So yeah, we don't need a puller, we just use bread.
Hell yeah. Have a snack while you're working.
There's all that bread.
Yeah. Maybe we just gotta clean that out, of course, but it's just bread, so.
So we ran into a few hiccups for both the engine and the transmission. I'm gonna explain that in a little bit, but for now, let's go take Jesse's car for a spin. I love the gauges too, man. They're awesome.
Yeah, I'll put that one in there for future. One day.
One day. We started off trying to put in the Holley mid-sump oil pan and ran into some issues because I was missing a stud, so I was able to get that yesterday. Big shout out to San Antonio Dodge. I was missing this stud right here for the pan, the oil pan, and they closed at 4. I wasn't gonna be able to get here till 4, so they went ahead and left it outside for me. So there it is, and I'm able to put the oil pan back together again. And so we decided to put on the bell housing and the clutch and everything just so we could start measuring the transmission. Unfortunately, we are missing a slave cylinder spacer right here, so we're not within tolerance. So I'm gonna have to wait and call them to get that sent over to me. But in the meantime, I'm gonna put this back on the stand. I'm gonna remove the bell housing and the clutch, and then install the pan properly. So let's go ahead and get that started. The new pickup tube requires this additional stud, which is what I picked up yesterday in San Antonio Dodge. So I'm going to replace this bolt with it. So I had a few options as to whether or not I wanted to install this baffle right here. So I went ahead and installed it. That way I can use an OEM dipstick tube. So that's what I'm gonna be doing. And so now we can start putting everything back on. So the pickup tube is in. At this point, the only thing I need to do is put in the oil pan. It doesn't really require any silicone because it does have its own O-ring around it, but I am gonna put some just right here in the corners where there's previous silicone from the old pan. That way I make sure that there's absolutely no gaps in there. So I'm gonna do that real quick and then I'm gonna put it on. Pan is on. Next thing I'm gonna do is just torque down the brackets for the motor mounts, and that should be it, and then I can start putting it back together so that I can put it with the transmission. So I just did the AC compressor test. It does bolt on, does not touch anything with the bracket for the motor mount, and clears the headers.